Good afternoon. This is the Sharing World podcast, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I've gone green today because we have Green Beverly here today. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you.
And Dean Berg.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, good to see you. And our honored guest, Corey O'Brien.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, of EcoLoop.
That's right.
And when I saw your T-shirt there, Corey, the wolf tones and Dean's tie, I just had to raise the ante.
That's right.
I feel woefully underdressed.
Well, you got a little bit of green.
That's true.
I
got some always green here. Yeah.
So I think we'll begin by talking about Green Beverly a little bit and just a brief synopsis of what you guys do, which is a lot, and you guys do great work. And then we'll segue to Corey, and he'll speak of EcoLoop, and then we'll start the questions.
Great. So I'll go do the synopsis of Green Beverly. This is something we're working on, trying to get the elevator speech, because there is so much going on with Green Beverly. Help me, Dean, where I need to fill in some gaps. But we have a few different areas where we focus on serving the communities with sustainability stuff. One is a coaching program where people, individuals or groups like a business or a school, can come to us with questions, and we'll match them with a like-minded individual or group to help get over a sustainability hump. We have some ongoing programs where there's stuff that we do in the community every week or every with some frequency, like collecting excess food from the grocery stores, and bringing it to food scarce community members. We have other programs too, Drive Green and other things like that. I'm trying to be succinct. And then just get sort of getting the levels
of what you guys do. It's
and then there's
remarkable.
It is. Yeah. It's almost overwhelming, but it in small bites it works out. But we have events and workshops and things like that as well that we do for our community for education and inspiration. So we call ourselves a sustainability hub. So there's just a lot of stuff always going on. Those are some examples of the levels that we do. Is there anything I'm missing, Dean, and that you'd like to add?
No, I think you covered it well.
Okay, great.
And Corey, EcoLoop.
Yeah.
Danvers.
That's right. Local. Let's get into it. So EcoLoop, first and foremost, we function as a solar photovoltaic developer. Our immediate priority has been focusing on the residential side of the business, so providing solar installations for homeowners, as well as additional complementary services like energy efficiency upgrades, storage, because that's a huge component of what solar has turned into, and then electric vehicle charger installations, right? Trying to wrap everything in one. We also function on the commercial industrial side, and then to a smaller extent, what we refer to as the front of the meter side, developing solar farms that its primary objective is to send power into the grid. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. And so how did you guys get together, Green Bev and EcoLoop?
Yeah, through one of we had a member of our team that was a member, and I think still is a member of Green Beverly, right? Who made the introduction, understood kind of our messaging and our, company culture and philosophy, and it seemed that our values were aligned, and then we began the relationship, and it's been working pretty well ever since.
So, Dean, explain to me. Someone from Beverly wants to go solar. They contact Green Beverly, and how does that proceed, where EcoLoop is involved?
Yeah, great question. So if somebody comes to us through our website or directly comes to us and they're interested in solar, we first and foremost, we link them up with one of our solar coaches. So we have volunteer members of Green Beverly that specialize in solar, and those are called solar coaches. So we'll link them up with the solar coach. The solar coach will meet with them, talk to them, understand what their rooftop situation is, and provide some level of guidance. And then if that person wants to continue the conversation and talk to the professionals, we will introduce them to EcoLoop. And it's probably worth mentioning that we have 2 primary solar partners that were vetted through a formal RFP process about a year ago. Both of these are hyper-local organizations, excellent from a customer service standpoint, excellent from a technology standpoint, just all around great organizations. So our solar coach will make that introduction and then kind of back off and let EcoLoop take it from there. If the resident wants to continue to have our coach involved in the process, we're more than willing to do that as well.
Fantastic. So, Corey, we talked about earlier about the Beverly's early in the history of solar in the U.S. The Carter administration made funds available for development of solar, which is at Beverly High School, and you have like a connection with the Carters, hey?
Yeah, it's a very loose connection. In my professional past life, I worked with a development firm out of Atlanta called Soul America, and I think they've since sold their organization to a larger Japanese gas conglomerate. But the idea was that, Jimmy Carter had a relationship with some of the folks down there in Atlanta at that shop. He had from where he is from, it's Plains, Georgia. We installed, I think it was close to 3 megawatts worth of equipment that powers about 50% of that town.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And it must be a very empowering for someone to get solar and have it completed. No pun intended in empowering, but the idea of just producing your own energy.
Right.
And I know it's sold back. It goes back to the grid, right? But nevertheless, it's an empowering act.
Yeah, I think, at least for myself, and I think generally speaking, historically the message was more oriented around carbon orthodoxy, environmental messaging, but it wasn't until maybe about a decade or so ago where that narrative kind of switched, right, to taking control of your life and realizing that the power dynamic that you're currently in as a ratepayer is not favorable, right, and you have really limited recourse in what you can or can't do to prevent utility companies from taking complete and utter advantage of you. Often these are investor-owned utility zones, so they don't necessarily see you as a human being rather than just a number on a spreadsheet.
Sure.
So that resonated with me, and that really has become, I don't want to say the central messaging, but it's definitely front and center. And I think people in Massachusetts and just broader in New England feel that. I think for sure in Massachusetts, we're the cradle of liberty, right?
Sure.
So it's when you have a utility company that's owned by the UK National Grid, it just it digs into you a little bit more.
Yeah, that's
right?
interesting. Yeah, yeah. And then you imagine someone who does that and gets solar, says, well, hey, maybe I'll grow my own food, or or take other steps to empower themselves.
Yeah, I mean, from a personal standpoint, my wife and I, we have a homestead now. We've got raised beds. Last year we did 7 raised beds. We had 6 raised bags really for potatoes and onions. We're building more this year because we realized that it wasn't enough. And we like the idea of retaining control and especially quality control of knowing where that food has come from and what was added to it. We also have chickens.
So we have eggs.
We have eggs. We've got a lot of eggs. We've got 7 chickens. We plan on getting 5 more for this year. So
fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that's the broader messaging too. Is you don't want to be on the wrong side of that power dynamic, right? You want to retain quality control, and you want a safe way to get quality food, right, for you and your family.
Sure, yeah. And the I guess it's the bird flu and the what happened to the egg industry.
Yeah.
Case in point, where
Right.
you're not going to be affected by that.
Right.
Well, you could be if you, God forbid,
Our flock gets sick.
Your flock gets sick.
Yeah.
But you're kind of separated from all
We
that
are.
kind of, yeah.
We are,
Sure.
thankfully.
Yeah. So you're a sponsor of Green Beverly.
Yes.
And can you talk a little bit about that and like what I know you've helped in various ways. Could
I'm
you
going to
speak
jump
that?
in. I'm going to
Okay.
jump in here.
Sure, yeah.
Because you can talk about answer that first after I'm done. But I feel like I want to share about the sponsorship of Earth Spring, because Earth Spring is what you're sponsoring. And Earth Spring is our next sort of big thing in Green Beverly. We're taking over April and May and calling it, instead of Earth Day, we're making it a whole season long. And
Yeah,
so EcoLoop is sponsoring the events that we're planning during Earth Spring. Right,
I
so
gotcha. Great.
there's sort of
Thanks
an
for
event
the
sponsor in a
clarification.
way.
Yeah.
Or multi-event.
Yeah. And I like the sort of Earth Days just seem so quick, right?
Too quick, yeah. Yes. It's not just a box to check, is it? It's a way to live, and it takes time to kind of get used to that.
So it's
changes that you make.
Your kickoff is March 28th?
Yes, March 28th from 5 to 7 at Old Planters, our big kickoff party.
And you also do it's a flow at the other brew pub.
Yes, so co-flow we call it.
Right.
Yes, and that was not created by us. It was created by Zach Servideo with a different vision, but he has allowed us to carve out office hours at this co-flow event, which is it's collaborative working from home, basically. So we're working together at Backbeat from 8 to 8 on the first Tuesday of the month. And it's a lot of fun. It's just
Sounds
sort of,
like
you hang out and you co-work with people from 8 to 4-ish, and then from 4 to 8, you network with people.
Right,
It goes from kind of coffee, then beer, if you want. Want. But
nice progression.
Yeah. It's just sort of a nice way for people to get done what they do all the time, but in a group setting, which people are excited about.
Community and
and right now it's free. I mean, sometimes you have to pay for these kinds of things, but
yeah. Well, you guys are doing a tremendous amount of things in the community. I can definitely feel the energy behind Green Beverly, and the case in point was your event at the Cabot Theater, where you had to open up the orchestra to accommodate the extra people.
This is true, isn't it, Dean? Yes.
Very impressive.
First time they had to open up the mezzanine.
That's even to fill the downstairs is
Yes, a big deal. It's good. People are catching on. And I liked what you were talking about with the fact that, we're talking about EcoLoop, we're talking about solar energy and how nothing is siloed. I mean, everything is connected, and sustainability is an overlay to everything we do. Every decision we make can be thought about with sustainability in mind. And whether it's feasible at this moment or not is the question. Lots of things go into making those kinds of decisions, but I love that you have the chickens and the food, and it just feels like, yes, this is what Green Beverly's about. We're really trying to connect the dots between, like, where is your next decision going to be? And we're trying to be as open and transparent as possible with how to help people make their decisions. And we're not telling people what to say or do, but we're just making it possible to kind of have a conversation that moves you in that right direction.
Right. And you guys have done a lot to not just to preach to the choir in a sense, but you're reaching a broader audience.
We're hoping.
Well,
we hope everyone hears us.
I think opening the orchestra is
that's a sign.
A sign.
That's a good sign.
More people are tuning in.
Yeah. So
maybe to that point, we focus a lot on how do we get to the broader audience, right? And it's not just preaching to the choir. It's not just talking to the people that are already believers, like Corey, in the fact that they want to lead a more sustainable life. But we talk a lot about meeting people where they are. So if we can help somebody reduce their utility bill or their electric bill by being more energy efficient, we feel like we've accomplished our mission, right? But we're helping them not necessarily from a direct sustainability standpoint, but we're helping them to meet one of their challenges that they have on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. So meeting people where they are to accomplish sustainability goals is one of our primary missions.
Yeah. In my sense too is like you guys don't come across as like a top-down organization where you speak, like case in point, speaking to where people are, you know. So it makes it much more easier to kind of work with. I think
that was one of the major points when we first pulled ourselves together, was that like we don't want this to feel like we know more than everyone else. We want everyone to understand we're next to them, and we have we're neighbors, and we have similar needs and similar, frustrations, and so really it's kind of like the way I put it forward at the beginning was, if you're baking a pie and you're short sugar, you're going to run to your neighbor. You're not going to go down, order it from Amazon. You're not going to do something that's beyond what's the most close thing, and you're going to knock on your neighbor's door and you're going to say, I need sugar. And they're going to see that, feel that, understand that. I got some, They're not going to say, how did you vote? And what exactly, it's going to be just like, we're humans. And this is what conversation and trust is built
And when things, if there's, God forbid, like some sort of crisis, like a weather event or something like that, the politics drop right away, and people start working together.
That's it.
And sometimes it takes an event for people to snap out of it,
We did. We're trying to find what is it about those moments that sheds those fears of each other.
But ideally, you want to do it before something.
Right.
Right.
You want to. And that's what you're doing, Corey, and which is amazing, and also Green Beverly.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the main reasons that we're so aligned, right? And there's this cohesive relationship is because there isn't that top-down approach. It's I empathize with you because I'm in the same boat as you, right? And I may know a little bit more, but I'm not going to say it in a condescending way. I'm going to educate you. I'm going to present you with the information that you need, frankly. And then it's up to you to make that decision, right? And I think Green Beverly does an exceptional job of that, right? Because we go to all the events. I talk to Sabrina all the time about kind of the plastic side of things, and it's super educational, right? And it's never like you need to do this or a finger wag situation. It's hey, maybe you consider this, from experience.
Sure, yeah.
So
just I love what you both are doing, and circling back to Earth Spring.
It's a mouthful.
What other events are you doing with that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's continually evolving, first of all. So the big message there is keep checking our calendar. It's at greenbeverly.org/events is where you're going to see what's happening. But we have a couple of interesting walks. There's a walk on Good Harbor Beach someone will be sort of pointing out. A person who really loves seaweed, I think, is going to be talking about seaweed. Really? There's a walk that your doggies are invited to come to through Beverly to learn about.
Here's my gift for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. There's roasted seaweed snacks. This
Delicious.
is great. Special word from our sponsor.
Here you go.
So
you have to share with Dean.
So Dean and I can share that. Very green for the festive occasion as well. So we've got some. There's another walk about misunderstood animals in the urban setting, which I think is going to be interesting, and that's on the last Monday of April.
Am I on the topic? Am I on the misunderstood animal?
Yes, we're going to start with understanding Sean. And then we've got a couple movies. We've got some other events going on. There's something at Backbeat Brew Company. There's a pop-up sustainability thing. I'm working with some bike shops about some other ideas. Things are just kind of continually evolving. So that's what I'll just say is keep checking that calendar.
Fun. You guys are just hats off, because I do community work, and you guys are just next level. I think is
it's a good team effort.
Describes it well. And also, Corey, I did look at the customer reviews on for EcoLoop, and 5 stars. And there's a lot of reviews. It's
Yeah.
not just like, a half dozen reviews and you got 5 stars. There's dozens.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super important for us, right? I mean, this is a hyper competitive market. We're often competing with, large national organizations that have many more resources than we do. But one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we operate, on a higher moral and ethical, operate a higher moral and ethical standard, and we apply that to everything that we do. And we also, it's like the attention to detail. New England and Massachusetts, maybe even specifically, it's a really tough market to be in.
Mm-hmm.
We make the joke that Massachusetts is Afghanistan. It is the graveyard of empires because all the huge solar companies just can't compete here.
Okay. Just
right?
Because of the dynamic of mass.
Just the dynamic of mass. I mean, on average, you have a per capita, highest educated folks in the United States. Wealth per capita is up there. And then there's this huge cultural appreciation for solar, and it's been around for so long already,
Right. Yeah.
right? So like the folks in Massachusetts are always asking the right questions, right? And they're not easily bamboozled, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing too that it sets us apart is that we understand that there really is an aesthetic preference that needs to be addressed, and it's like, Massachusetts has got some of the, if not the oldest architecture in the United States, and folks want to preserve that. And I completely agree that that's a good practice to sustain, right? So the attention to detail that we're offering clients it's bar none.
Right.
It's roofs, trees, and if we have to, a necessary evil sometimes is taking down trees, right, to get adequate sunlight.
Right.
But part of that too is then planting new trees, right? Because people have a fond appreciation for the natural landscape, right? So it's, okay, now how do we make this house look even more desirable than it once was? We had to take down that mature growth oak. What can we replace it? Or how can we make this yard look better again? Well, maybe we put like a Japanese maple.
Sure.
Maybe we put like a weeping cherry blossom, things like that. It makes like that much of a difference.
Yes.
And, to Julie's point, it's like, nothing is siloed. It's everything is working together.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Beautiful.
People appreciate that.
Yeah.
While we're talking about plants, I just want to say there's a plant swap.
Oh, cool.
May 18th. Also,
Oh, cool. Is that the Ryle side?
yeah, in Ryleside, Ryleside, yeah.
That's
It's,
really
at Oberg
popular
Park. It's
too,
really
right?
popular
Yeah.
and so much fun. So like, I'm going to pipe up when I remember things. Also,
Absolutely.
we're working with some really great folks to look at pollinator, a lot of pollinator expansion, and particularly with native plants. So we're in the process of learning a lot more about native planting and the importance of pollinators throughout Beverly. I mean, we've done a lot of work.
And that's the
we're still doing a
pollinator
lot.
highway? Is that what
Yeah, so there's a pollinator highway type thing. Yeah, we've got a
Right.
map, a pollinator map to sort of understand how our little pollinators can be fed, throughout. It's almost like the green, the emerald necklace in Boston.
Nice.
But yeah, or like the little free little libraries. We're just getting on the
Yeah.
map and trying to see how people, how it works in our community.
Right.
Which is a start to understanding and doing better. Right.
And Corey, do you have bees on your property yet?
Not
Or-
yet.
Okay.
Oh no, we're pushing for it. I mean,
thinking about it?
speaking of pollinators, we line our yard up with cosmos and wildflowers, sunflowers. We're feeding those bees. We're keeping them busy.
Fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So coming towards the end of our talk, are there anything else that you guys would like to share that I've left, maybe not asked about?
The only thing I would say, and this is kind of picking up on what Julia said earlier about, we're all making tens to hundreds of decisions a day. Sometimes when we think about sustainability, it's solar, it's EVs, electric vehicles, it's maybe heat pumps for heating, maybe recycling, but there are so many decisions that we are making throughout every day that affect our environment.
Right, buying flowers or anything like that.
And everybody's at a different place on that journey, and that's great.
Yeah.
right? And everybody prioritizes different things, which is great.
Sure, yeah.
But our job is just to help people understand what those different decisions are, and to help understand how they affect the environment, and to give the people the space to go at their own pace, or to make their own path, or to go on their own journey, hopefully making baby steps or taking steps along the way to
Right.
being
Sort of incremental. Yeah.
incremental. And as you know, there's no way I've yet to meet anybody that does everything perfectly, right?
Right, yeah,
Because
sure.
there are so many things.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why we're here, is to help people
Right.
along that journey.
Yeah, and I would think incremental is the way to go. Hey, rather than because you become aware of the problem and what you're saying, how where it's like in every part of society, or from flowers to food to on and on.
To reusable mugs. I mean, right? It's,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
So you become overwhelmed, right? And but incremental would be, sounds like a good approach. Yeah. So.
And if I can just say one last thing, I would advise like anyone and everyone to really take a deep dive into some of the policies that are out there, because oftentimes, like, maybe intentionally, these things are hidden in plain sight, where a lot of these programs are being paid for or subsidized partially, like the Mass Save program, like some of the solar programs, the electric vehicle charger programs that are out there with these investor-owned utility zones, or just with the state.
Yeah.
So I think people are hesitant to maybe take those next steps, because it could be a little intimidating, right? Slightly new technology. We're transitioning out of this old like dichotomy, and I think just pay attention if you can't, and if you have a tough time navigating through some of this stuff, like that's why we're here,
Yeah.
right? Because we enjoy some of this stuff, right? And we're happy to just guide you along.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Any last thoughts or?
My last thoughts are about trust, I think. Trust and communication, and just be a little bit brave with that. Like sometimes people feel like they're hindered by talking with their neighbor or talking with Green Beverly or someone else, because there may be some embarrassment or overwhelm or something that's getting in the way.
Yeah.
And so I just think that a lot can be answered through just sort of trusting that it's going to be all right, and ask the question, and just be curious and understand that you're not alone. And it's like, even if it's just a understanding and doesn't lead to a change in your behavior, like that's something, right? But the ultimate goal, I think, is like changing your habits eventually. So like Dean was saying, incrementally, like exposing yourself, trusting that it's going to be all right, and then understanding that there are people who do appreciate this kind of stuff and love kind of talking about it.
Sure,
And,
right,
even whatever. But it really feels good once you can kind of let go of whatever it is that's hindering you. And ask that question.
Sure, and then the journey too is, become involved with Green Beverly or EcoLoop. It's that community that goes along with it.
It's a special added benefit.
There's a lot of
That's
interesting
true.
people and doing interesting things from everywhere,
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, right?
Truly, yeah.
And then there's things like don't cost anything that you can do that are effective, like composting. Right? And then also apparently Teslas are a lot cheaper these days. So there's one, I don't know. But so it's been wonderful having you guys on the podcast.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Super appreciate what you both are doing, and happy that you're working together.
Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah. Right on.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Thank you.
Cheers. This is the Sharing Wheel.
Thanks for watching our podcast. If you liked what you saw today, please feel free to go to greenbeverly.org/events to learn more about what's coming up for Earth Spring and other events. Or
if you'd like to support Green Beverly, check out our monthly newsletter. Subscribe to our monthly newsletter on greenbeverly.org. Volunteer or support us as a sustaining member, also available on greenbeverly.org. Thank you for watching.